But on the other side, some worries, if we get into those, it's not going to be worth it. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be commendable. So in summary, brothers and sisters, to go through these two groups, if we are concerned about the dunya, in summary, then we will have that type of worry, that type of anxiety, that type of distress that really is unworthy of our time. It's not worth it. We'll be stressed over nothing. It won't be worth it. To the point it may cause problems, it may cause more and more stress. And as you know, stress causes physical damage to the body. We may become sick. We may become diseased. We may start to have heart problems. For what? For things that really aren't worth it. So first category, when it's not commendable, not worthy, of course, mainly it's related to worrying about the dunya, as I just said. One example, there could be many, but due to time limitation, I'll mention one. Sometimes we fall into this trap of the shaitan about wanting to do israf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with so much, enough that we should be content with it. But we're still not happy. We want to chase after some sort of luxury. We look at each other, maybe our friends, maybe our relatives. We're at, let's say, this level. But all our friends and our relatives, maybe our own, like very close relatives, are up here. They have this thing and that thing related to the dunya. So we get worried about that. We get concerned about that. We get anxious over that. And then, but is it worth it? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already gave us what we need, is it really worth it? Some people get very stressed over this. Having to work hard and, why am I not making enough money? One little glitch at their workplace, lose some money or something happens. They get so concerned, so anxious, even goes into depression and stress and problems and health problems, etc. Another example comes to mind related to israf, about walimas. This day, there's a day and age, and this is just one example, as I'm saying. There's so many. The concern about making our walima the best, the biggest, the fanciest, the talk amongst the community. Such and such relative or such and such, friend of mine, family friend, they had their son or daughter had such a beautiful walima. Why not me? But maybe I can't afford it, so I stress myself out. How am I going to get so much money? I have to work hard. Maybe it drives me to do something even that's haram, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid. Trying to get money some way. So none of this is commendable. This worry and anxiety is worth nothing, as we know. And it's actually going to cause harm. Now let us go to the next point, brothers and sisters. Is when is worry, or is worry ever going to be commendable? Is it going to be worth it? Is anxiety ever worth it? Did the Salaf have anxiety and distress? And what was it about? Brothers and sisters, there are stresses and anxieties and worries and concerns that are commendable. And that's what I want to focus on. That's what we should be worrying about. And this kind of stress, inshallah, may it never harm us. And in fact, I truly believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us for being anxious for His sake. And this is all related to what kind of anxiety and worry is commendable and worth it. It's all worry that's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anxiety that's for the sake of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Distress that's related to the akhirah. We have some stress related to the akhirah. Are we going to enter or not? So now, brothers and sisters, I introduce you to some worry that's commendable and that all of us can have. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us for it. And some of these, one of them is, for example, the person who is a worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he's always concerned and worried and anxious. Is he or she doing their ibadah correctly? This is something to be anxious about. This is a worthwhile anxiety, a worthwhile worry. And that type of worry is good because it'll make us take action. If we're worried about the correctness of our salah or any other act of ibadah, we will make sure we do what's necessary to make sure it's correct, meaning gain knowledge, gain ilm. It'll drive us to do that. This is a worry that each and every one of us can have. None of us has to be excluded from this type of worry. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm sure, will reward us because we're being so anxious for our ibadah. We'll get rewarded for our ibadah and for that worry that we have and that concern that we have. And only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how much reward that would be. That's for all of us. Then, brothers and sisters, another worry and anxiety we can have is for our brothers and sisters who are suffering all over the world. There's no part now, I think, in any Muslim part of the world where Muslims are, where there's not some sort of suffering and oppression being put on them. The more we're anxious for them, the more we're really into worrying. In this day and age, brothers and sisters, we should be worrying less about these fancy walimas and these luxuries. We should be worrying more about our brothers and sisters who are suffering. If we're worried more about the next luxury we want to get and how we're going to get there, and worrying less about our brothers and sisters who are suffering, then something is wrong. Something is truly wrong. So this is for all of us. Each and every one of us can be anxious for our brothers and sisters, can be worried about our brothers and sisters. And inshallah, there will be a reward for that. Now, brothers and sisters, because I have to move quickly, there are some types of worry that I would say are on a higher level, in my opinion. They're on a higher level, and not everybody could have them. Some commendable worry that not everybody can have unless you choose to do so. So let me actually correct my statement. You can all have that, but there's a condition that you take more responsibility for the sake of the deen. So, once again, I want to repeat to make sure it's clear. Each and everyone can have that good worry, commendable worry, that good kind of anxiousness for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we take more responsibility. If we, for instance, if we want to do the da'wah, we know if we do da'wah, we are going to face difficulties. Because now we're taking a higher level of responsibility. We may be mocked. We may be belied. People may say, you're lying. We don't believe you. This happened to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was anxious about it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself is anxious about it. It's reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam suffered similar distress when people disbelieved in him when he went to the Isra, the night journey. It says that Abu Hurairah narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I found myself in the Hijr, which is near the Kaaba, and the Quraysh were asking me about my night journey, the Isra. Questions about Baytul Maqdis. They were trying to find out. First of all, they were mocking him. They were saying, come listen, come listen. When Rasulullah was telling everybody about the Isra and the Mi'raj, the Quraysh, instead of tearing people away, now they were saying, come, you come from far, come listen to him. Why? Because they want to make fun of him. They want to make fun of him now. Now they want people to listen. And now they want to question, in their mind, to show that this couldn't possibly have happened. So the hadith goes on. It says that the Quraysh were asking me about the night journey, questions about Bayt al-Maqdis, that I was not sure of. I felt more distressed and anxious than I had ever felt. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised it for me so that I could see what they were asking me about and answer all their questions. So even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was anxious. What is he anxious about? He's giving the da'wah. He's being mocked. And this level, I would say, as I said, in my opinion, is a higher level of worry and concern and distress and anxiety, as we can probably understand. Okay? It's one thing to be praying privately at our home, where nobody can tell us anything. No harm can come to us, inshallah. But it's another thing to go out there, put ourselves out there, in front of people who don't like Islam, who want to make fun of Islam. Of course, the worry and the distress and the anxiety is going to be more. And inshallah, the worry is going to be more, inshallah. If we want it. If we want to have commendable worry. Worry that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appreciates. As another example, brothers and sisters, if we take more responsibility, a task on behalf of the community or the ummah at large, once again, this will create usually more anxiety. Any of you who have done something with bigger responsibility, even at work, let's talk about the dunya for instance. The bigger the responsibility at work, the bigger the project. Of course, there are some difficulties that come. Things go wrong. You get worried. You get worried about your job. You get anxious about your job, or you're going to get fired if you make a mistake. So what about if you're doing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? First of all, nothing like that is going to happen. You're going to succeed, inshallah. As long as you have sabr, you're going to succeed. First of all, good news. It's good news upon good news if we do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His deen. We have another example. Abdul Rahman bin Auf, as you know, was entrusted with the task of selecting the next Khalifa. What a heavy responsibility. The next Khalifa of the Ummah. After the death of Umar radiallahu anh, he could not sleep. His relaxation at night is gone. He says he cannot sleep during that period when this responsibility came upon him until it was finished, because it is reported that he was so busy consulting the Muslims, so worried, the decision is on him. What if he makes a wrong decision? So he's consulting everyone, and he's even consulting old women, not sleeping. This is, brothers and sisters, what we should be worried about. This is called commendable worry, that we hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us reward for, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, I wanted to go over some remedies that, sometimes, we get, we're human beings. So sometimes the worry and the concern overwhelms us. So there are some remedies, but I don't have time for it. And in fact, I was just signaled by the volunteers I have to take up something else in the last few minutes. So maybe some of the remedies we'll try to go over next week if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, inshallah. So I've just been informed, brothers and sisters, we, of course, got permission to pray outside. But there's a limit on how many we can pray outside. I know in the past we've had lots of people praying outside, even outside our property lines, but that wasn't in the state of emergency. That was before the state of emergency. So brothers and sisters, we are under a state of emergency. Okay, the situation is different. You can look it up yourself under the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, okay, what the penalties are if we do not follow the rules under the state of emergency for places of worship, like a masjid here. The fine for the organization is up to $10 million. $10 million. I'm not saying that somebody, for some infraction, the government is going to fine us $10 million straight, okay? But even a small percentage, like when you get a ticket, sometimes you don't get the whole ticket, they give you a break, but you still get a ticket. You have to pay something. Out of $10 million, even if it's something, how much is it going to be? So this is a message for the brothers outside. I hope the speakers are on nice and loud. The volunteers are telling you, brothers, not to pray outside our property line. There is no allowance for us to pray outside our property line. And we are requiring you to register. We've given everybody a chance to register. We've told you last week not to pray outside our property line. There is no allowance for that. It's 0. Within our property line, it's 50. Now what's going to happen, brothers who are insisting to pray outside, is that number is going to grow. It's going to start from 2 or 3 today. It's going to go to maybe 5 next week, and then 10, and then 20, and then all of a sudden we have over 50 very quickly. And a bylaw officer comes by. It doesn't have to be the government. It could be a police officer. It could be a bylaw officer. Could be any one of these authorities that come by and give us a ticket. And then we have a problem where we have to, if we're obviously we're not going to be happy about it. We have to fight it off, have to go to court, a summons will be issued, etc., etc. That is not anxiety and worry that's worth it, brothers and sisters. Okay? So I appeal to the brothers who are sitting outside our property line. It's not a matter of just 1 or 2 sitting outside our property line. That number is going to grow. And then what we're going to have to do if the brothers outside our property line are not going to listen, then there's no choice left but to shut it all down outside. So a good 40, 50 brothers will lose capacity of 30, 40, 50 that we are trying to expand so that more brothers and sisters can come and pray. This is what we're trying to do. We told you last time nicely that, this is an issue. It's not worth it. The penalty is very severe. Please, inshallah, your salah will be accepted. You can get time next time, but please follow the rules. There's a registration process. There's a limit on that registration process so that we don't go over the limit. There's a reason for all these things. It's simply not worth it to get into this issue, and it would hurt us a lot after we put all the trouble to open up outside. We rushed, the previous week. We only had a few hours to get it organized, get enough volunteers, okay? And hopefully we'll have your cooperation, inshallah. If not, we have no choice, but we are not, we are responsible. We cannot, with our own hands harm the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I appeal to the brothers outside to please, maybe there's going to be space when people stand up. We can even try to accommodate you. Sometimes there's some no-shows, which is another problem, but if there's a no-show, we'll try to accommodate you. But please don't start this trend, at least until the state of emergency is over. It's a whole different thing. Jazakumullah khairan for your cooperation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to these few words. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. I sat down. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد اللهم صل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين وعلى عبادك الصالحين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم ثبتنا على الإسلام اللهم نور قلوبنا بنور الإيمان اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون عباد الله اذكروا الله يذكركم واستغفروه يغفر لكم وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات سبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصن ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Brothers and sisters, just a moment please, inshallah, for exiting. Brothers in the